Hello there, anybody or everybody or anybody who if anybody ever finds this channel. Yeah, what I just what I thought I would do is make a bit of a video diary of basically what I'm hoping to do with the garden. I mean, we've moved into this house over 3 years ago, and initially basically all I did was clear a lot of the there were some dead shrubs. It's not a big section, we're on about a 900 section, so you know, we're not talking acres here. It's 900 squares, so there were a lot of dead trees. It was really overgrown, very clogged, and it took me quite a lot of time and quite a bit of money to get rid of all the crap off of that and get a lot of shredding done, and oh, it was amazing. But I think it almost sort of like, I think I got through that and then just, oh, that was enough. It was, you know, it was open. But obviously as time's gone on, Mother Nature starts to take it back a little bit, doesn't she? And you know, I was looking around and starting to get a little bit embarrassed about things. So, but to be completely honest with you, and I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way, I took a look outside and just thought, God, where do I start? You know, it's just years of neglect long before we came here. You know, things have just been let go, and half-finished jobs and one thing and another. So excuse me for wind, I'm having to do this on my phone. I did have a video camera, but it died. But anyway, I was just thinking the other day and just thought, let's just pick an easy thing. So there's a bit of a tip, pick something easy, pick a quick win. Didn't turn out quite so quick or a win, but you know, and I just thought, right, let's just go and make a bit of a clear up on the borders, and I'll just actually show you what I did initially. I haven't actually cleared the rubbish away yet, but as you can see, right down the edges, what I've done is I've cleared from the back edge. It's not a very big area, but it's quite long, and I've pulled all the rubbish out just to the front, all the dead leaves and the fungus and all the rubbish, and I've pulled it out just right the way along, and then we've got a bit of overgrown I haven't touched at the bottom yet. And pulling that forward, I started to think, that's the first step. First step is knuckle down, don't hide it, clear out and see what I've got. And basically, so that's what I decided to do. So like I say, I've got to this point here, and then there's a big area at the back which was a bit, so I've knuckled into that, and I'll show you that. And then obviously then the plan is then, right, I've got to, the first part is, how do I actually clear all this? Where's it all going to go? What am I going to do with it? What am I going to do with my rubbish, and what do I want to do? So excuse me, I do apologise for the not very good camera work, I do apologise, but yeah, so I need to tidy it out for it, and I'm going to pull it all together, and that's going to be my first job, which is pulling everything together. However, and I hope the picture's okay with this, at the same time as doing that, the whole point of doing this is to have a garden. Now I want to aim to have a bit of like an ornamental kitchen type garden. So I want to get some veggies in here, get some fruit trees and bushes and shrubs and canes and things like that in here, and get some beds, some mixed beds, so there'll be some nice flowers, so there's a bit of a show, and then grow the vegetables within that. And that's something I had a bit of a go at in the UK. But when I was up to the I was at Bunnings, I think it was, and I thought, right, well, I've got to have a bit of something going on. So what I've actually done, and as you can see here, I've just bought myself a few bits and pieces. In the UK, I have grown everything from seeds, but I've got myself some tomatoes, tomatoes and strawberry plants, some little bits of perpetual spinach and herbs and things. So they're all there. Some pots and a bit of potting compost and stuff ready. Now, whilst my goal will be to become as organic as I can, my opinion on that is, be honest with yourself. There's no reason you can't use organic feeds and things like that. When it comes to pesticides or weed killers or anything else, I tend to be quite pragmatic in the fact that I think everybody has busy lives. So if you've got a big area that you need to get a handle on, you know, don't just, if you leave it and leave it and leave it, you'll never get round to it. Get it hit, do whatever. I don't have the time to start, I don't have the time and I don't have the materials to start covering huge areas with old carpets and feet thick layers of mulch and things like that. That's the sort of thing I will go to once I get a handle on the garden. I don't like to put artificial feeds on, so I tend to use fish blood and bone, chicken pellets, sheep pellets. I'll make my own manure, or I will be doing when I get my compost bins going. So I will do all that, and I'll become as organic as I possibly can. Every now and then, if I get a bit of a problem that's too much to handle, and hopefully with a lot of companion planting and things like that, I won't need a lot of that. You know, the pests will look after themselves. But like I say, it'd be nice to get all that going. But while that's happening, what I'm going to be doing, and I'll do a little clip on potting up, because there's some hints and tips on potting up, and you know how to do it and things like that to get a better result. But yeah, at least I can get some things growing. These can all go into tubs and pots, so I don't have to worry about the garden. And then as I get areas cleared, then I can start putting things into them. What I'll do is I'll just take you up to the top of the garden and I'll show you what's going on there. This is a little bit disjointed. I'm remaking this beginning bit. If anybody spots a slight difference in weather, it was a beautiful day today. Should have been a nice day yesterday, and it was horrible. So you'll see the rain and that there. But I'll show you where I was at yesterday. But the thing I've done this morning is I've just actually marked it. I've got to the point where the two stages I want to do is clear everything off, get an idea of what I've got, and mark out the boundaries so I know what I've got and what I'm working to. And basically all I've done here is I have got some cordage. I've had to put a couple of extra stakes in. Luckily there's quite a few of these all the way around, quite a bit of barbed wire I pulled out as well, but that's allowed me to run a cord all the way around and down the other side, actually, excuse the sunshine, but coming down this other side over there, you've got up that side, and there's quite a lot of posts up there, so it's a very easy thing, and the neighbours on the other side are keen on the garden, so that should be pretty good. So yep, so I'll show you up to the top. Yep. You can see I've got a pile of rubbish here, and that's just literally from this small patch here. However, right where you can see there, all that brown patch there, that was bamboo, and it was 20 foot high. It was a solid mass. I've had that, I got all that cut out, got rid of it all, and then had that stump ground. I've got some the dead trees. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 stumps in the garden I should have got rid of, but I've just cleared all this down, and the edge of my boundary, which I'm going to mark out, goes just behind those trees. And then up here, quite literally from the beginning of this brown spot here right the way to the back there, which is about a good 10 yards and about 4 yards wide, again was a stand of bamboo about 40 feet high. It went 10-15 feet above those phoenix palms, which are unfortunately also on my land. However, I don't think nothing's been done here for years, never mind just me. And all this here and all this rubble is what I've taken out from the first 2 parts, which is one there and then one there at either side of this phoenix. So my next session is going to be clearing out that lot and that lot from there. And basically my cunning plan is I'm going to do that. I've got some, and then this side of the garden over here, this is a lot of chipping. This was just mounds of chipping from all the bamboo and everything, but obviously these need trimming back, tidying up, making it look a bit nicer. Luckily the neighbours on this side are very keen on a nice garden, and I'm going to get some of that done. Potentially up here, where I am here, the most beloved wants a nice sitting area and a fire pit. We've got some lovely views which would go over there. You can see between the just between the house there, got some very nice views over there. And then potentially I've got to decide what I'm doing yet. Might be bringing the retainer back to give me to level that out a little bit more at the front, and then there's going to be some well, raised beds, but not so much raised beds. I'm going to use this sloped part of the garden which gets a lot of sun. How much of it or where I'll go I'm not too sure yet, but that's going to become, like I say, well, I'll say I'm calling them raised beds, but it's not so much that they're going to be raised as the fact that it will allow me to sort of terrace the garden down here, and that then is going to be a mixture of veggies and flowers and hopefully some fruit bushes in between. Well, we've got the native at the minute, I'm not putting any more in. I'm going to put some fruit bushes in which will help to form a border, so hopefully some citrus, feijoas, things like that, and then possibly even if I put some fencing up somewhere, maybe even some blackberries, raspberry canes, things like that. So that's the cunning plan, and the next job is going to be to clear in between the fencing there, clear all that out, drag it all down to see what the extent. Well, looks like the Auckland weatherman, I've got it right again. Not. But anyway, session 2, I think I've just about had enough. Time to go up to my bait for a wee beersy or two. But yep, so at least I'm getting a bit of an idea. So as I said, I've cleared up the outside edge and cleared up between the 2 middles and gone right around the back, cleared right up to my boundary post, dragged everything forward. Bit of a lucky find. 26 flags. Only maybe 3 or 4 have got chips or breaks, you know, corners missing, so they're going to come in very handy in a few little pots. But yeah, so quite pleased, at least if nothing else. I've now got that lot to get rid of, as well as that lot and the pile of concrete blocks and bricks in the middle. Oh heck. But anyway, feels good to get all that out of the way. So like I say, this is what I've shown you around. This is pretty much where I'm at. I've just finished a couple of bits this morning, and I've got to go off and cut some neighbours' lawns now. So that was my first little job while I just wake the old body up and get things moving on a morning. It takes longer than it used to. But yeah, so that's where I'm at the minute. So I've got all the rubbish out, so at least now I know what I'm dealing with. That can often be the most daunting, horrible part. Don't let it put you off. Don't just sideline things and think, oh, I'll start digging a little bit here and I'll dig a bit there and I'll put a bit of plant in here. You know, it's great to get some plants in if you know that area is going to be exactly where you want those things and you're not going to have to change it in the future. Got to think about that. Plan your garden out, and that's why by clearing everything out, getting an idea of what I need to do. I've got a couple of big jobs that I know I'm going to have to get sorted if I want to get a handle on the garden. We've got a lovely plum tree from the neighbour. It's very old. Kilos and kilos of plums. It needs a really good prune. Unfortunately, I've left it too long. Needed doing in the winter. So it's things like that you've got to think about. You've got to plan through the year. So there's no point in me hammering away at that tree now for them to prune it all back and then have it let it just go mad on growth and then no plums. So you've got to think about things like that. Be realistic about what you can do and what you can manage, and do it in bite-sized chunks. If it happens to be that you've got a big area that needs to be cleared, clear it. Just get on with it. Clear it. Knuckle down. Because if you don't, you will never do it. And then, I mean, like me, I've taken back, I have no idea how many square meters of my garden. So anyway, that's where I'm at up to press. Like I say, when we get this video out, I hope, then probably in about a week's time, I'll do again, and then I'll bring you back every sort of like week or so, show you where I'm at. If there's things I'm doing in between, like I say, I'll do some potting up. I will point out that I haven't said this up to press, but I will say now, I am not a professional gardener or a horticulturist or anything like that. I've just been a keen amateur a lot of my life on gardens. I've had allotments in the UK. Just life took over and it just all became too much, and I've just ended up, you know, if it didn't get dealt with the mower and a machete, that I didn't get done in the garden. So hopefully I'm starting again. However, my ex-father-in-law, bless his soul, Jim, he wasn't just a gardener, although he was a very keen gardener. He was the head gardener at a country estate in the UK, and I learnt an awful lot off of Jim over the years. You know, what he didn't know really wasn't worth knowing. He was an old-time gardener, and he was very good. I mean, he used to do the shows, you know, the big shows in the UK and all stuff like that. You know, the man knew his onions. So you know, I've not only book learned and learnt from trial and error, I've also had some pretty good teaching as well. So you know, and I will point out, there's always more than one way to do anything. You know, what one person's way is not necessarily another's, you know, so, and I'm quite aware of that. If somebody sees something and you think you've got an easier way, especially easier, I won't say it's always better, but if it's easier, it's probably better. I'd love to hear from you. So with that, I will sign off, and hopefully, if all goes to plan, I don't get too much work through the door. Catch you in a week or so, guys. So sign off and catch you on the flip side.